Good morning and welcome to the Motivational Devotional, where we are merging motivation and spirituality to create a daily dose of confident positivity. I hope that this morning's podcast will help you to be more spiritually and positively motivated so that you can transform your day. My father was a church pastor. I lived most of my life in the paradigm that anything sacred has to do with the church. Sacred space meant a sanctuary where people worship. Sacred things were the items on the communion table. Sacred activity was the worship service and what people did while in the church building. However, in the last third of my life, I've been experiencing a paradigm shift in understanding what is sacred, and at this point, I understand it to be very different than the understanding I had growing up. The word sacred is derived from an ancient Latin root meaning holy. Now, even that word is loaded with preconceived notions, and not all of them positive. People criticize others as having a holier-than-thou attitude, and people don't regard holy things with respect anymore. If it is called holy, a lot of people automatically view it with disdain and disfavor. Even though the word's origins are unclear, it is most likely that it was around way before Christianity and meant that which cannot be transgressed or violated. Now that would probably agree with what most people understand sacred to mean. If something is sacred, it is not just that it's special, and it certainly isn't hypocritical, but something sacred cannot be transgressed or violated. Everyone has a need for some sacredness in life, and it doesn't have to take place in a church. If you have a special area that you would call sacred space, it shouldn't be used for anything other than what you would call sacred activity. Whatever your sacred activity is, whether it's prayer, meditation, contemplation, reading, or writing, that activity also has to be protected so that the activity cannot be violated. And there are things that are sacred too. And that doesn't mean that those things themselves should be worshipped. That would be silly. They are sacred because of what they call to mind, what they remind us to do, what symbolism they have, to put a person into the mindset of sacred activity. For some people, picking up a Bible does just that. For other people, it's a cross. For some people, it's a leaf that fell from a tree in the middle of a deeply spiritual experience in nature, and so that leaf is sacred. Holding it and remembering that event is sacred activity, and where it is kept is sacred space. You don't need a huge room for that. You can just have a little cabinet. That is your sacred space, and it holds sacred things. And when you stand or sit next to that little spot, that is sacred space, while you do your sacred activity, because the things, that space, and your activity cannot be violated, and they need to be protected. We have sacred commitments with people, and we honor sacred trust. A marriage or coupling ceremony isn't about just making promises that you try to keep. It's about sacred activity, carving out sacred space in which a relationship will grow and flourish. Commitment to that sacred trust and those sacred commitments must then be protected and cannot be violated. You may have a sacred role in life, and you may hold certain values to be sacred. Whatever these are in your life, they are far beyond just being special. Another definition of holy is that which is set apart. Whatever you maintain in your life as sacred, ensure that you continue to regard it as set apart, for no other reason than its sacred purpose, which is to bring your awareness back to your spiritual nature, and to remember that all of creation is conspiring in your favor. Trust that the universe always has your back. Joseph Campbell was a worldwide renowned theologian and highly respected for his knowledge and awareness of most of the world's religions and sacred practices. He also was the primary consultant to George Lucas to establish and build the entire spiritual framework for the Jedi and the Force. Campbell once said, "Your sacred space is where you can find yourself again and again." Thank you for taking the time to listen today. Please help keep this podcast going by following the Motivational Devotional Facebook page, following @ThreefoldWay Radio on Twitter, and sharing the written format of today's message from motivational-devotional.com on your social media. I am deeply grateful for your support, and thank you for letting Motivational Devotional be part of your journey. Peace out. See you tomorrow.
motivational devotional is a production of Threefold Way Radio, LLC.